Let's talk about what would happen if you stopped eating fast food for 1 week. Now, I want to go beyond just carbohydrates and sugar. I've done so many videos on that. If you stop eating carbs and sugar, we know all the benefits that are going to occur. And I'll put some links down below if you haven't seen that video, because you're going to help prevent a fatty liver. You're going to lose a lot of weight. You're going to have cognitive changes, all sorts of wonderful things, just for the fact that you cut down your carbs and your sugars. But what else is in fast food that if you eliminated would benefit you? Well, number one, when you eat processed foods, refined foods, you are eating foods very low in nutrients. Anytime you eat empty calories or foods that are void in nutrition, you end up depleting your reserves of vitamins and minerals, specifically B1, calcium, zinc, other B vitamins, and that creates a whole series of issues right there. Also, when you consume empty calories or refined foods, you don't get any phytonutrients, and so you have a situation where you have no antioxidants and a lot of oxidation, and you have a lot of damage in the body just from oxidation alone from free radical damage, because these phytonutrients protect, so many things: your heart, the inside layer of your arteries, the kidneys, the eyes, the brain, the nerves. So without those phytonutrients or antioxidants, you tend to get things like peripheral neuropathy, where you get tingling and burning in your toes. You start to have vision problems, kidney problems, heart issues, and the list goes on and on. But there's something else I want to talk about. There are a lot of food additives in fast food: preservatives, colorings, things that enhance the texture of the food, the thickness of certain sauces and things. You have sweeteners, you have artificial sweeteners. But the one that I want to focus on now is things that enhance the flavors, okay? And primarily I'm talking about MSG, monosodium glutamate, also known as modified food starch, which is in so many foods. So why are they putting a flavor enhancer in food in the first place? What are they trying to cover up? If you didn't have MSG in this fast food, what would it really taste like? You probably would be shocked. You probably wouldn't eat it. And as far as the topic of MSG, if you do research on it, you're going to find very wide viewpoints. Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad, and so you have this conflicting viewpoint. You don't know who to believe because you'll see research on both sides. My whole thought on that is that unless you really have firsthand knowledge and you experiment with it yourself or on close friends that you know and you can see the results, you don't really know for sure. However, that being said, just from being in practice for 30 years, I have found that whatever the general consensus is of the mainstream thought, I tend to look in the opposite direction, and I don't trust that viewpoint because there's so much vested interest involved, and so I tend to go in the other direction. But what I will tell you about MSG from personal observation, I don't get the reactions, the allergies, the sensitivities, but what I get is incredible pleasure. It tastes good initially, but then about an hour and a half later, I am starving. So I know for a fact through personal firsthand observation that it increases hunger and it will cause me to keep eating, especially when you go to a Thai restaurant or a Chinese restaurant or just eat like Doritos, for example, which in college I lived on Doritos and a lot of other junk foods. So I have a lot of experience in this area. And I also know it retains fluid because when I consume that food, I'm so thirsty, and then I end up finding that I can't even get my ring off or my ankles get puffy. Now, currently I don't do any MSG. I'm talking about in my early 20s when I had a lot of experience in doing junk foods. And so here's my viewpoint. If you were to cut out fast food for 1 week, you're going to notice your hunger goes away. You'll be able to go from one meal to the next much easier, especially if you're doing keto and intermittent fasting. You're going to notice your cravings are going to drop, which then makes it very easy to stick to a plan. Also, your fluid retention will greatly improve. You'll get rid of a lot of fluid. You'll probably pee a lot more for about 2 weeks. You're going to find your mind is clear. Your cognitive function is much better. You're going to feel like your body is overall cleaner. You're not going to feel so groggy. You're not going to get the brain fog. You're going to have definitely more energy. And then you'll start losing fat, actual fat. But that doesn't happen right away. That's a little bit delayed, 1 or 2 weeks. And so if you eat a lot of fast food, and by the way, back then, no one could have convinced me not to do fast foods. I was highly addicted. I had to hit bottom before I changed. But maybe you are different and a bit wiser. So try to give up fast food just for 1 week to prove it to yourself so you can have firsthand knowledge that it will very much benefit you in many different levels. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's some only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.